Yes, today we're gonna talk about my psycho creepy boss. Stay tuned. Hello gorgeous, welcome back to my channel, or hello if you're new, and if you are new, don't forget to click that subscribe button to join my YouTube family. I do upload every single week, and if you turn on the bell, maybe it will notify you when I drop a video. But today I am doing another tea time sit down with Nicoletta. I will have my playlist down below. This one's gonna be a different one. It's not gonna be a dating horror story, but it is going to be a boss horror story. My best friend Nilu and I always look back at this one and still talk about how crazy this story is. So I thought, you know, what else is a girl gotta do but to share it with you guys, my other best friends. I'm gonna talk about the time that I had, honestly, the craziest, creepiest boss, and these things are just not normal, so there's that. Comment down below any of your horror work stories or job stories if you had a crazy boss. A lot of crazy things can happen at work. If you guys want to talk to me more, don't forget to follow me on my Instagram at NicolettaXOYT. You can totally talk to me over on there. But on that note, let's just get into the tea spilling. So we're gonna throw this all the way back to my first job, and a lot of you may know if you've been following my channel for a while that I used to be a gymnastics coach. I was a competitive gymnast, and gymnastics was honestly my passion for so many years, so it was so cool and surreal to be able to do that as my first job, and to know that all those years of spending money on gymnastics, I can make some money back by being a coach. So I was really excited when I got hired for the job, and I was so excited to start. I was nervous. I didn't know what I was doing, of course. It was my first job. I just turned 16 years old, and I was ready to enter the work world. So I got hired to this gymnastics club, which actually does not exist anymore, and you guys will kind of hear about that throughout this video. I'm telling you, this story is just, it's a lot. When I got hired, at the time there was this boss. It was a woman. We're gonna call her, I was gonna say a name, but it is way too close to her real name. Jane. There's gonna be two bosses in this story. So for the first boss, who is a woman, we're gonna call her Jane, and I will tell you guys about the other boss later on. But Jane was my boss right when I got hired. She was the one that interviewed me and actually hired me, and let me tell you, Jane is a very intimidating boss. Everyone, I feel like, was intimidated by her. Even the gymnasts that were part of the classes, they were honestly intimidated by her. She was known for yelling at the top of her lungs and just being a crazy lunatic, to be honest. She literally was so rude and mean, and I was really intimidated. It was my first job. I was 16 years old. I was trying to keep my job, so I just wanted to make her happy, but let me tell you, she was very hard to please. I would always be so happy when she wasn't in the office. Whenever I had a work shift, I remember feeling so relieved when I knew that she wasn't there. I just felt so uncomfortable and like I was walking on eggshells every single time she was there, and I just wanted as little interaction with her as possible because I was genuinely scared of her. Yeah, time has passed and she's my boss, and obviously I'm not loving it, and I don't think anyone was loving having her as a boss. But soon after, Jane gets fired. And who does Jane get fired by? Jane gets fired by her son. We're gonna call him Bradley. Bradley fires Jane. Apparently they both, I guess, were the ones that owned the gymnastics club, or maybe he did, I think. I'm not really too sure about who owned it, but he fired his mother and he was not having it, and they got into a huge blow-up fight apparently about something. A lot of stuff was happening behind the scenes that I didn't know. I think the older coaches at the time knew more than I did. I didn't really know what was going on. I didn't ask anything. I wasn't about to do some gossiping. I was new to the job, so I had no idea what was going on. All I know is that they had something go on behind closed doors at home that led to a blow-up fight, and they were no longer talking, and he fired his mother. So Bradley was our new boss, and I heard a little bit of things about Bradley, but I wasn't too sure about him. I didn't really know much, so I thought, you know, he's probably gonna be better than Jane. At least Jane's gone and I won't have to hear her yelling at me all the time. Bradley becomes our boss, and I don't know if I like Jane or Bradley better, because you guys are going to be shocked by Bradley's behaviors. Bradley was really, really weird. He wasn't really like a boss. He's pretty young at the time. I think he was in his 30s or maybe younger 30s, I'm assuming, but I honestly don't know. He was obviously a lot older than I was because I was 16 years old, but I think he was in his 30s, if not mid 30s. And he was not really a boss to me. I had honestly this little interaction with him. He didn't really get to know his coaches. I feel like he didn't know what he was honestly doing. He was just all over the place. He didn't come in every single day like Jane did, so I guess I kind of like that because I just didn't want to be around any boss. I feel like whenever there's a boss, and especially when you're not comfortable with them, you feel like they're nitpicking everything you do. One really weird thing that Bradley would do, and I remember seeing it, is he would like be drinking alcohol in the office sometimes. He'd have a bottle of wine and be drinking wine, and I just thought that was very weird, very unprofessional, and just not normal. So every single year my gymnastics club used to hold this, I guess, like gathering. We would go to kind of like a banquet, but not really. We'd go to this place and we'd all get together, all the coaches, and you could bring your family or friends. So I decided to bring my best friend, Nilu, and Nilu and I always look back at this story and still laugh at it and still think of it and think how crazy it was. So I was really scared to go on my own, so I brought my best friend. So I was excited that I could bring someone because I was still new to the gymnastics club. I wasn't like there for that long. And I remember too, at the time, there was this guy at my club that tried hitting on me and wanted to date me, and I rejected him. And ever since I rejected him, he treated me like a big pile of crap because I refused to date him. I remember after that, I just felt so uncomfortable and awkward. So I was so happy that I could bring my best friend to this because I knew he was gonna be there. And he was just honestly so rude to me for the longest time after I rejected that one date. I could do a whole story time on that one. Let me know if you guys wanna hear about it, but I just remember he would treat me like he would just be so rude and snappy to me. And he used to be so nice to me when he was trying to, I guess, finesse me and hit on me and kind of get me. But after I gave him a hard solid no, he was not too into me anymore. And he was honestly the rudest person to me. So that was great. Loved that. So we're at this place. You get to eat dinner and you kind of just, people would do speeches. I honestly don't know what the point was. I guess we would just get together every year and do that. And so I see my boss there, and he at this point I think has this girlfriend. So my boss would always bring different women all the time to the gymnastics club, and he would go sometimes to the gymnastics club even when it was closed with different women and bring them there. And he was just honestly such a creep and a weirdo. And he ended up coming up to my best friend and I, and he was asking us, oh, what are you doing after this? Mind you, can we take in that this guy knows I am 16 years old and my best friend at the time is 1 year older than me, so she's about 17 years old, and he asks us what we are doing after we leave, and I literally told him I'm going home to study because I have a test, which I did have a test the Monday, so I was telling him I have a test for school due. You think that would told him something? But it didn't. So he proceeded to ask us if we wanted to drink. And of course, we are underage. The legal age where I live is 19 to drink. And like I said, I was 16 years old. So he wanted us to drink and then asked us if we wanted to go with him that night to a strip club. What? I was shocked. I honestly even said, a what? That was genuinely my reaction, and all he said back was, did you guys want to come with me to a strip club tonight? Who? What? Hi, I'm Nicoletta. I'm 16 years old. I have high school. I'm living my life. I'll pass. My best friend and I are literally in shock. We don't know, we're young. We don't know what the heck to say. This is my boss too. I didn't know what to do. All I said is like, oh no, sorry. I have to study. And all I remember is my best friend and I were like, we have to go to the washroom. We'll be right back. And we did not come back. We ended up leaving not long after that. I called my dad to come pick us up because we both didn't have a license. We were little youngsters and my dad came and picked us up. He was super drunk that night, I found out. And when I saw him the next time, he acted like everything was normal. He always acted a little bit weird with me. Like I never could really talk to him. I felt really awkward with him all the time and nervous. But Bradley honestly was such a creep and it was disturbing. There would be times that I would catch Bradley looking up and down at girls, and I caught him doing that to me before, and he just made everyone feel very uncomfortable, and it was just not a good situation. He was just such a strange one. I don't even know how to depict this guy or like paint out the picture to give you how I felt at the time and to show you guys how uncomfortable he made people feel. After that, he never like brought up anything to me. I didn't see him that much. After that time too, he was coming less and less. Thankfully, what happened next needed to happen so Bradley could go away. So what I mean by that is one day I'm waking up on an early Saturday. I would have Saturday classes to teach. So I woke up early, got all done up, got my outfit on, and I head to the gymnastics club. I walk into the gymnastics club. I usually go in from the back, so where the office is, and I have the keys to open up the club. I open it up. First, I walk into the office and I just see this wine bottle open, and it had like honestly this much left of wine in it, and I just remember this distinctly. And I walked past the office into the gymnastics club. My mouth dropped. The whole gymnastics club looks like it was knocked down. It looks like it's under construction. I was like, what's going on here? Are we renovating? Like, why did no one tell me this? All I know is I walk in and there is no gymnastics, no children are there, no parents are there, and it literally looks like someone smashed inside of the gymnastics club. It just looked like a mess. It looked like under construction. And all I remember is I run outside the door, stopping my mom to not leave because obviously there is no gymnastics. And I was like running without my shoes on to get my mom to stop. And thankfully she stopped and didn't leave because I don't even think I had like a full-blown cell phone at that time. Weird, right? When people didn't have cell phones, that was a thing. And I ended up calling someone else from the gymnastics club, and they ended up telling me that, oh, you didn't know? What did we call him? Oh my gosh. Bradley. Yes, Bradley. Bradley went bankrupt. What? Pretty much, Bradley, I guess, was not paying the bills, could not pay the bills, or I don't know what he was doing. I heard he was not paying the bills for the gymnastics club, and he ended up going bankrupt, and he was actually living out of his car. No one heard from him again. He didn't even tell me that this was going on. Most of the coaches had no idea, and he didn't tell really anyone. I think one of them found out from his mom, and that's really how it went off. He just kind of ran away, and none of us got our last paychecks for the month because he couldn't afford it, obviously, but he didn't tell us the whole month we were working that he's actually going bankrupt and that we're not gonna get paid. So that was nice of him. Gotta love that. Gotta love working for free. I actually continued to be a gymnastics coach even after this whole fiasco. One of the coaches actually ended up buying the club back and changing the name, and then I worked for her, and I was so happy because I loved her. She was so nice. She was one of the coaches, and I knew her for years at this point, and she was really nice. She acted like a mom, and I loved it, and I had so much fun. But unfortunately, not years after that, I would say probably like 4 more years or so, is when it completely went under, and it just was not keeping up. That club was constantly changing. Not a lot of kids were doing gymnastics, and it was really hard to keep up with the bills compared to the amount of kids that were applying to be gymnasts, which is super sad because gymnastics was a huge part of my life growing up, and I lived for sports, and gymnastics really helped me to be the person I am today and give me that confidence and in myself. So it's kind of sad that that kept happening, that there was just not enough kids wanting to do gymnastics, and it would just keep going under because no one could pay the bills. But we ended up stopping it. My last boss that changed the gymnastics around, she ended up having us all come in and ask pretty much that she doesn't think that she's going to continue this after the summer, and we ended up just all kind of leaving. I do know that they have a new gymnastics club there, so it always just reopens and new people, I guess, reopen it. I don't know, it's changed like 5 times. That was the point I moved on from it as well, because at this point I was already done university and I was doing gymnastics and as well as my mental health job, so I had 2 jobs at the same time. And I was kind of just doing the gymnastics job because I couldn't let go of it, and I just loved it, and I liked just doing it on the side as little as a little part-time gig because it was so much fun for me, and I just got to really know the people there for so many years, and it became kind of like second nature and like another family. So it was really hard to let go of that chapter in my life. But once it ended up going down and that boss was kind of done, I didn't want to continue and move on to the next gymnastics club because I did have my other job as a mental health worker, and I wanted to put more focus on that. And that is when I ended up becoming a full-time mental health worker. So everything ended up working out at the time, and it's just such a crazy story to look back on about Jane and Bradley. They were honestly crazy nut jobs. I wish that you guys could have been there with me because you would totally understand. Jane was just honestly vicious and really rude, and people were genuinely scared of her. And then Bradley was just a creep that no one wanted. I hope you guys enjoyed this story. Thumbs it up if you did. Don't forget to click the subscribe button down below to join my YouTube family. I do upload every single week. I will link my playlist as well as my Instagram down below for you guys. And on that note, I will catch you guys in my next video. Bye!